Hey y'all, I'm Tandy. Welcome to Sweet Serenity Kitchen, where I show you how to whip up all things sweet. So today we're making a blueberry coffee cake. I've switched up the ingredients of your traditional coffee cake just a little bit, so instead of having the cinnamon sugar filling, we're going to add blueberries to give us a slight burst of fruity flavor. You can almost think of it like a blueberry muffin, but it's a cake. So it still goes very well with your cup of coffee or tea. As always, the ingredients are listed in the description below, and you can find the full written recipe with tips on my website, sweetserenitykitchen.com. So let's go make a cake or a big muffin.
We'll start by preheating the oven to 350 degrees and preparing our pan. I'm using a 9-inch springform pan. This will make it easier to move the cake to a serving platter later. You can still use a regular 9-inch round or square pan as well, and that's perfectly fine. Just keep in mind that things may get a little messy if you want to serve the cake from something other than this pan. Now, to make our streusel topping, we're going to use a cup of flour, 2/3 cup of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 cup of melted butter. Mix everything until it's all combined. Most people do this step using cold butter, but I feel like it mixes a little better when the butter is melted and at room temperature. Now set it aside to top the cake later. Now we'll mix the dry ingredients for the cake. We need 2 1/4 cups of flour, 1/4 cup of cornstarch, 2 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, 3/4 teaspoons of salt, and just whisk those together. The flour and the cornstarch can also be soaked for cake flour. You can find the details about that in the recipe post. In the bowl of the mixture, I'm going to cream the fats and sugar. We're adding 4 ounces of butter, 4 ounces of cream cheese, 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Beat until the mixture lightens and gets fluffy. Now add your eggs one by one. You want to let each one fully incorporate before adding the next. Now we're going to add the dry ingredients in 2 batches, alternating with 1/2 cup of buttermilk. Mixing the batter this way, we can ensure to incorporate all the flour without over-mixing. We're going to let this batter mix on low for about a minute. Here I'm adding the vanilla I forgot to add earlier, so don't be like me. The vanilla should have been added after the eggs. Adding at this step was fine, it didn't affect the final flavor at all. And now I'm adding 12 ounces of blueberries. I didn't bother coating them in flour because as you can see the batter is very thick. The likelihood of them sinking to the bottom is pretty minimal, so the flour isn't needed. Now we're going to add our batter to the pan. As I mentioned before, the batter is very thick, so you'll need to use a spatula or a spoon to evenly spread the batter around the pan. In the final step before baking, we'll add the streusel topping we made earlier. Sprinkle the topping evenly over the cake and lightly press it in to make sure it sticks. Now we're going to bake at 350 degrees for about an hour. Once it's done, let the cake cool on a wire rack. If you're using a springform pan, let the pan cool to touch, then you can remove it while the cake cools completely. If you're using a regular pan, check the recipe post for those details. Once the cake cools completely, we can add our glaze, which is just 1 cup of powdered sugar and about 2 tablespoons of milk. Make sure the cake is cooled completely, otherwise the glaze will melt into the cake. Finally, our cake is complete. Now you just cut and enjoy.
And here we have a slice of our blueberry coffee cake. As you can see, the blueberries actually did disperse throughout the cake and didn't sink to the bottom. And we have a nice layer of our streusel topping. And guys, it smells amazing. So, if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And for this recipe and more, you can go to my website, sweetserenityKitchen.com. Until next time, bye.